Hello my lovely, Sarah Jane Critchley here, the author of A Different Joy, The Parent's Guide to Living Better with Autism, Dyslexia, ADHD and more. Now last week I was talking a little bit about what happens and what you should look for when school goes wrong. If you haven't seen that film, by all means go and have a little look. But today, sorry about the crackling, today I want to talk to you about what you can actually do and how you can reduce the anxiety that's involved in when school's going wrong, when everything around the young person's all going to pot, she says carefully, trying to select her words, because what it is incredibly stressful. So what you will see is all sorts of things that are related to the stress level of people involved, and this will affect your stress level as well. It's incredibly stressful for parents and for teachers, and especially for the young person when this all goes wrong. So how can you actually reduce that anxiety and that stress? What can you do to help them out? I had a brilliant idea. I thought, let's actually ask people who've gone through this and let's find out what worked for them. So I have 3 ideas for you that will help reduce stress at home, and 3 ideas that will help reduce stress at school. And the most important thing that you can possibly do if things are going wrong in school is to try and work with the school, between parents and school. So if you're a teacher or a TA, or you're involved in setting up services for schools, then please build in the help and support of parents. Do everything you can to possibly help and work with them, because they will be incredibly stressed, and it's in no one's interest ever to have a child struggling, ever. So we really want to get you working together. If you're a parent, then it's really important that you actually try as hard as you possibly can not to be aggressive and confrontational when you go into school, because the person you're seeing is a human being first and foremost, and they may not be in charge of everything that's happening, and they may not be responsible for it, but they can possibly help you solve it. So if you go with a really positive way of approaching things, it will make life so much easier and so much better. We all just need to be a little bit more human. So where shall we start? Let's think about, if your young person's still able to get into school, how can you make that experience less stressful? Well, the first and most important thing that mine have talked about and that other people have talked about is having an exit strategy. So having a way to remove themselves from a situation which they find incredibly stressful and difficult. Now in some cases this could be a little timeout card, so some schools use those are fantastic, where a young person can just hand that in to a teacher and then leave the room and go to the Senko's office or go to some other safe place on site, so that their level of stress and anxiety can reduce, gives them time to regroup, and then they can go back in and re-engage with learning, which is great. If you have that control, then your capacity to understand and manage what's going on increases, and one of the things that feeds into stress and anxiety is feeling like you're out of control and you cannot affect what's happening. You're not able to do that. So if you give a young person some control, they're able to do that, provided they have the capacity to do so, then it works really, really well. The second thing that one of mine was talking about was breathing. So you can get lots of apps actually which are really, really helpful, and you might want to consider that, but teaching specific breathing strategies. So it may be the one-arm seagull that we talked about in one of our other videos, where you kind of you get the young person to look at your hand and you breathe in and then out, and in and out, and in and out. Yeah, I know it looks hysterical, I can't help that. But the nice thing is that when they're used to actually being able to manage that breathing, they can do it themselves without the flappy seagull thing, and then that's a technique that they can take into them, which is really useful when they go into any stressful situation. It could be somewhere they've never been before, or an exam. Knowing how to breathe gets the oxygen pumping around your body, it gets your brain to work, and it means you can function better. So that's a really, really good one. Another one is around being able to do repetitive behaviour. So walking, striding, walking round the playing field, walking round the playground, having a message to take to reception if you can see somebody who's about to become really, really stressed at school, One of my colleagues said that she would give a folder to the young person and ask them to take that to reception. And inside the folder it said, so-and-so just needs a walk. Please replace this paper with another sheet and ask him to return. And that's what they did. They swapped the piece of paper over and then he went back to class and was able to re-engage. Just having that action, that physical movement is really, really helpful. Now, some young people have a particular stim that they like to do. They may like to flap or tap or tap their knee, and they may need to do that, and that will help them to calm down. It's really important that you don't rule out those stims, provided they can be done somewhere where they're not too disruptive, or give them time out so they can do their stimming and then come back. And that's on their choice, not necessarily yours. So that will really help to reduce the anxiety that we're talking about. And the other thing that's really, really helpful is just having routines. So a safe space to go, lots of opportunity to breathe, repetitive movement and routines. That's really much, much easier in school because you have a timetable. But trying to keep to those, and be aware that if the routines change, your young person may be freaked out, they may not know what to do, and that might cause additional anxiety. So what can you do at home? What sort of things will reduce anxiety at home? So you may have somebody who's come home, and sometimes it's absolutely blindingly obvious when they've had a really, really rough day. So they may be in floods of tears, they may come home just throw themselves on the bed, they may be breaking things. Some people would find that they needed to kind of hit something. A pillow or a punch bag is a great way of reducing tension, preferably not another person. Because normally what happens is if you have a complete meltdown and you lose control completely, the effect on the young person afterwards is mortifying. They don't want to feel like that, and they hate the thought that they might have hurt somebody. So provide something where they can get rid of that stress, anxiety and aggression without hurting anyone, then recovery will be a lot easier and a lot quicker. So providing a safe space is the one single most important thing. Make sure they have somewhere welcoming that includes the things they need to feel safe and secure so they can calm themselves down faster. And as they get older, they'll start to build their own coping strategies, which is fantastic because you want them to learn to be independent. So coping strategies that we find works often, this is supposed to be a cat, so sorry, it's a really bad picture, isn't it? Anyway, this is supposed to be a cat, this little cat. So cats, dogs, pets, chinchillas, snakes if you like them, whatever. Actually having a pet to spend time with, if provided it's someone that they really like, it's a pet they really enjoy, that's a really good thing to do. Another thing, sometimes YouTube. I love comedy films on YouTube. Watching something funny. I mean, we love Red Dwarf, for example. That's one of our favourites. Because it's funny and slightly rude and irreverent, and you can pick whichever ones you like. Blackadder's another really good one. So seeing those, often familiar ones. So seeing a familiar film where you know what's going to happen. I mean, I've got a book that I always go to, which is These Old Shades by Georgette Hare. I absolutely adore it. I really adore it. And when life's a bit too much, I go and read These Old Shades, and it gives you a safe space where you know what's going to happen. It's reliable, it's delightful. You can just bathe yourself in that wonderful experience. It's got to be tried. Try it. It's absolutely lovely. And this appalling diagram, is time to talk. So when you've had your magic air gap, you've had time out, you've had time petting the cats or watching something, you will probably need to do a bit of a debrief. So this is around using these. This looks like a Ferengi, sorry to give a Star Trek reference, but really big ears. You need big ears. It's all about the listening, not about the talking. You won't be doing the talking as the adult, you'll be doing the listening. And then you help the young person to work out what has happened and how to process that. So those are my main top tips for this week. There's a lot more on my training that's coming up next very soon, and I'll tell you more about that in another email. Take care, and until next week, I hope you have a really good time. If you're in any doubt, go over to the website and have a look at www.differentjoy.com, or drop me a line at sarahjane@differentjoy.com. I'd love to hear what you think. Give me your ideas. What works brilliantly for your young people? Until then, Have a great time. Lovely to speak to you. Take care. Bye.